First of all, thank you. It's great to be here and great to interact with the Nepali Times. The relationship with Canada and Nepal is very, very long-standing. It goes well beyond 5 decades, and that relationship continues to grow even stronger. And becoming or being Canada's ambassador to Nepal is very, very special. The relationship in the past several months has really taken off to new heights. Our prime ministers met on the margins of the United Nations General Assembly. We've signed a consultative mechanism between our foreign ministries to do more together. We have Canadian companies that are active here in Nepal. And the people-to-people ties, when you look at the Nepali diaspora in Canada, continues to grow as well. So it's great representing Canada in Nepal, but there's something very, very special about immersing yourself into the full experience of what Nepal has to offer. And if we really want to take the Nepal-Canada relationship to new heights, there's no better way to do that than to trek up to Everest Base Camp. I think trade between Canada and Nepal has been extremely low. And there have been many reasons for that over the years, and it's gone through some ups and downs. But one thing that's really important for any Canadian company is stability, political, regulatory, and predictability, particularly around regulatory predictability, regulatory risks. And that just hasn't been the case for a very long time, with a number of challenges, whether it was the constitutional crisis or other elements like that. Today, there's reason to be cautiously optimistic. The economic reforms, for example, that the government is bringing forward are taking Nepal into a direction that makes the business climate much more appealing going forward. But much more work needs to be done. Investor protections, a focus on ensuring the judiciary has opportunities for recourse, greater focus and greater speed on economic reforms, investment protection agreements, for example, and of course governance issues as well. We want to see opportunities for Canadian companies grow at a faster pace, but it's got to be aligned with some of the business environment that's changing. We have much reason to be optimistic long term. And I think that bodes well for where we're going, and which is one of the reasons why we are very committed to this relationship. And we see if things do continue on the right track and the right path, the current path towards reforms, that two-way trade, the two-way investment numbers will increase at a much more rapid pace in the next decade than what we've seen in the last couple of decades. Well, look, Canada continues to place an extremely significant emphasis and priority on climate change. Our government is playing a leadership role around the world. And of course, when you see reporting around, the pace of warming is twice as fast as the rest of the world, that creates additional cause for concern. This is something that Canada and Nepal have in common. Earlier today, I met with the foreign minister, and we in fact discussed climate change as an area that we're both interested in terms of governments doing more, not only in our respective countries, but around the world. Nepal and Canada have, as you say, similar geographies, mountainous terrains, etc., that we could in fact share best practices, capacity building, policy ideas going forward. My trek, which I'm going to launch tomorrow, is going to allow me to see that firsthand, but it's also an opportunity for some themes to emerge where we can in fact acknowledge or highlight some very important topics, and climate change of course is one of them, with what's happening in the Himalayas, what's happening in some of the mountainous terrain in Canada as well. One thing that's very important for us to acknowledge is that while we have large-scale initiatives, while we are proponents of the Paris Accord and we are in full implementation mode in terms of our commitments, climate change initiatives and reacting to climate change is not stopping at those initiatives or at those accords. It's an evergreen initiative or a series of initiatives that we must continue to reposition, pivot, react, respond, and continue to build on the successes of some of the agreements and initiatives that we have in place. Follow us along. We'll be Canada at on Twitter at Canada in Nepal. So you follow us along on Twitter, and we'll be on our Facebook page as well. And then also my own, you'll be following me along, Nadir Y. Patel on Twitter. And we'll be posting on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter throughout the journey, including some video clips. You know, there's a lot of Canadian-funded initiatives on the trek towards base camp, medical centers and clinics, hospitals, doctors, and we're going to profile and feature some of those. So talking about development, it'll be an opportunity to showcase a bit of what Canada's impact in Nepal has been.